Welcome to Spring LIB.
Hello students, so in this question you are given with some points and you have to tell whether the statement is true or false. So here we have the first statement which says a non-polar molecule can contain 3 polar bonds. Okay, so we are talking about a non-polar molecule. Suppose we have a molecule which says here we have A, and A is our normal compound, and if we add X to that, okay, in this direction, in this form. X is our electronegative compound, means they will be having this bond electronegativity, this bond density towards themselves. Okay, so this, if we can say, if this there is 3 polar bonds, can the molecule be non-polar as whole or not? So if you can see here, the polarity of the bond is towards this side. All right, and this also towards the more electronegative side, and this also towards the more negative side. So now if you see the net polarity of the molecule, right, it will be equals to 0. Why is it equal to 0? Because this both resultant will be cancelled by the resultant of this A1. Okay, so the resultant of these 2 bonds will be cancelled out by these 2 bonds, so there is no kind of polarity that is left. So yes, it is. So if we talk about this AX3 as a whole molecule, then it will be non-polar because the net polarity of the molecule is 0. So therefore, this statement we can mention this as correct statement. Okay, so this statement is correct statement. So this is the answer for our first part of the question. All right, so we have this. Now moving on to the second one, which says that a non-polar molecule cannot contain a polar bonds. So this is incorrect because we have discussed here only that it can have the non-polar, it can have the polar bonds, just the net polarity should be 0 to be it a non-polar compounds. Okay, so here this statement is incorrect. Fine, so this is the answer for your second part of the question. Now moving on to the third part, they have asked that whether the polar molecule must contain a polar bond. So this statement is, if we see, as we have, suppose AX, okay, a simple AX bond, just a compound with A and X, no other thing. So here we know A is our electropositive and X is our electronegative. So the polarity will move toward this side. So even if there are one polar bond is necessary to make it, at least one polar bond is necessary. At least one polar bond is necessary to make a molecule as polar molecule. All right. So here they have talked about that only, that a polar molecule must contain, means there is a condition. Okay, must contain is the condition. So we also know that at least one should be there. Rest, if it is more than one, then we'll see about that. But at least one polar bond should be there. So in every polar molecule, there are polar bonds. This statement is correct. This is the correct statement. So this is the answer for your third part, right? Moving on to the last part, they have said that the non-polar, they have said over here, the non-polar can have one polar bond. See, non-polar, we have talked before, non-polar cannot have one polar bond. Why it cannot have one polar bond? Because the net polarity will not be 0. Net polarity will not be 0 for a molecule. Because say if we have A and one polar bond, say X, and another non-polar bonds, X, A, B, and AB, right? So this, so these are not having any kind of polarity, and this is also not having any kind of polarity. But this is having the polarity towards X. So here it will be having some resultant over here, right? So there is the resultant. So we can say there is a resultant between these two bonds, these two atoms. Okay, there is a resultant of the polarity. So net polarity is not is equals to 0, as I have told. So the molecule will not be the polar. It will be it will not be the non-polar. It will be the polar molecule, right? So the answer is incorrect. Incorrect. All right. This is the answer for your last part of the question. I hope you understand this video and the solution. Thank you.